How music, Fidelia Ben Natsar. Got Daniela, he from Mike McGunn and his brother, Bawanya Sap. Lions of Israel's in the building. It's LOY, at it again. So tell a friend to tell a friend you safe or locked in a ball pen. Or HDM, House of Dangerous Men. The Coliseum's no place to pretend. It's where gladiators' lives end. You're all welcome to the Lions Den. You're all welcome to the Lions Den. The Coliseum's no place to pretend. It's where gladiators' lives end. You're all welcome to the Lions Den. At it again, so tell a friend to tell a friend you safe or locked in a ball pen. Or HDM, House of Dangerous Men. The Coliseum's no place to pretend. It's where gladiators' lives end. You're all welcome to the Lions Den. You're all welcome to the Lions Den. The Coliseum's no place to pretend. It's where gladiators' lives end. You're all welcome to the Lions Den.
Love come quick, love come in a hurry. There are thieves in the temple tonight. They don't care where they kick, just as long as they hurt you. There are thieves in the temple tonight. Come and save me from all this cold despair. I can hang when you're around, but I surely die if you're not there. Love come quick, love come in a hurry. There'll be in the temple tonight. I feel like they're looking for my soul, like a poor man looking for gold. There are thieves in the temple tonight.
The Lord's Prayer. Our Father, which art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our debts as we forgive our debtors. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Shabbat Shemayim Kodashaya Shemkaya
Shalom, 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 brothers and sisters. Ashar Shabbat to those that observe the Sabbath today. And shalom, which is peace in general to anybody watching this. Welcome to another one of the Alliance of Israel Sabbath classes. My name is Priest Daniela, and I'm joined, of course, by the Elder Zahab. We want to say peace and blessings and love to everybody that's listening to us. Shout out, of course, to everyone that follows our platforms on YouTube, on Maccabees TV, as well as the Lines of Israel class. Guys, make sure that you guys are subscribed to the channel. Just check and make sure you're subscribed. Hit the like button on this video. Drop a comment in the comment section to trigger the algorithm. And show some love if the Most High puts that on your heart. Shout out to our brother Nasiah from Nasiah TV for allowing us to broadcast on his platforms as well every single week directly into people's homes. I pray that somebody's edified that watches this from home. And of course, last but not least, I want to give a shout out to my Clubhouse family. For those of you guys that are coming into the room, you guys are seeing the link at the top of the room. On a scale of 1 to 10, today's lesson is probably at least a 10 in terms of watchability, something that you might want to watch more than listen to. So you guys are in Clubhouse can feel free to click the link at the top of the room and come over to YouTube so you can watch the PowerPoint presentation along with everybody else. But if you are disposed and you're not able to do that right now, that's fine as well. You can just listen in, and maybe later on you guys can go back and catch the live. All right. So there's a lot to cover today. And I have a little under 2 hours to do it. We are going to continue on, depending on how quickly I get through this, we're going to continue on with our lesson from last week, which was called Winter is Already Here. There is a part 2. Whether I get to that today or not, remains to be seen. But I wanted to touch on this because really I was supposed to touch on Revelation 18 right after I did 17, which was a couple of weeks ago. So I don't want there to be too much distance between those two lessons. So I'm going to do this one this week, and then we'll circle back around and pick up where we left off in terms of showing in prophecy where we are, and that the prophecies the Most High said we should be looking for are happening with great succession right before our eyes, which proves the Bible is a true book. All right, so before we get started, without any further ado, I do have the Elder Zahab on the stage with me. If you want to say anything before we get started, the floor is yours.
Hey, shalom, family. Shalom to the people. Just want to say a Shah Shabbat. Hope everybody having a blessed Sabbath. We got to give honor and glory continuously to the Most High in the name of Mashiach Yahushua. That's pretty much it. I'm excited. So, Priest, let me understand. You going to go into 18, or you going to circle back, finish up on when it's finished, when it's here?
I'm going to do 18 because I did 17 a few weeks ago, and I was supposed to go right into 18, and I didn't. So I want to get that out the way, and then we can circle back, because between now and the next week, there's going to be more prophecies and stuff that we're going to be able to look at and show.
You already know.
In the midst of it, yeah, man. Every day we inch closer to this election and everything that's going on in the world. Every day the financial situation of the world is getting worse and worse and worse. So yeah, we'll definitely circle back to that next week. Most High allow, unless anything else more pressing comes up. So with that being said, without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and share my screen, and we're going to get started. Now, there's a lot to cover today, and what I want to focus on, brothers and sisters, is there's a lot of information to take in. So for those brothers and sisters that feel sometimes, and I get the messages sometimes that I might move a little too fast, hey guys, these videos on YouTube, you're definitely welcome to go back and watch them again if I move too fast. But I'm working with a limited amount of time, so I go through a lot of really deep things really fast. And of course, there's always even deeper levels, even more esoteric things I could bring out. But I try to make things concise as I possibly can within the 2-hour window that I'm teaching on the Sabbath. All right. So with that being said, today's lesson is Revelation chapter 18, the fall of Babylon the Great. So let's pick it up from Revelation chapter 18. Let's start from verse 1. It says, and after these things. Now, I've taught you guys before, if you've been following me for a long time, You have to pay attention to the way chapters start. If you look at the verbiage of how a chapter starts, it lets you know whether it's building off the previous chapter or not. So Revelation chapter 18, verse 1 says, and after these things. So it's letting you know it's building off of something that preceded it, which is chapter 17. Those are the things that are going to happen. And then something is going to happen after those things happen. Does everybody understand? And after these things, I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory, right? So what I want to focus on is, what are these things? After what things? Let's go back to Revelation chapter 17 so we can see the things that are going to take place. This is the book of Revelation chapter 17, verse 1. It says, and there came one of the seven angels, which had the seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, come hither, and I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters. So Revelations chapter 18, which we're going over today, is going to show us what's going to happen after the judgment of the great whore, which is Babylon the Great. It's going to show us the things that's going to take place after. Revelation 17, verse 1 again. And there came one of the seven angels which had these seven vials, and talked with me, saying unto me, come hither, and I will show unto thee the judgment of the great whore that sitteth upon many waters, with whom the kings of the earth have committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth have been made drunk with the wine of her fornication. And so he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sit upon a scarlet-colored beast, full of the names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet color, and decked with gold, precious stones, and pearls, having a golden cup in her hand, full of abominations and filthiness of her fornication. And upon her head was a name written, comma, mystery, comma, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth. So Revelation 18 is showing you that Babylon the Great was going to be revealed, because at the time that John was writing this, it was a mystery, which means Babylon the Great is not talking about the Roman Empire like some Christian apologists teach, like some commentaries teach, because then it wouldn't have been a mystery. And no, Babylon was not Jerusalem like we heard in a room yesterday on Clubhouse, which was crazy because it doesn't fit the prophecies. But in John's time, it was a mystery, but in time it would be revealed. And once Babylon was revealed, she was going to be destroyed. And now the Most High is going to show us in chapter 18 what takes place after Babylon the Great is destroyed. Is everybody following along? Okay. So now we're going to start all over again. Revelation chapter 18, verse 1. And after these things I saw another angel come down from heaven, having great power, and the earth was lightened with his glory. And he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the Great is fallen, and is become the habitation of devils, and the holes of every foul spirit, and the cage of every unclean and hateful bird. So I want to focus on this latter portion of verse number 2 to get an idea of what this is talking about. After Babylon falls, what is going to take place? So what I want to do is I want to jump over to the book of Isaiah chapter 13, another very familiar passage that we're all familiar with. So we're going to start at Isaiah chapter 13, verse 1. It says, the burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amos did see. Now I want to skip down to verse number 19 to get to the point about Babylon falling. This is Isaiah chapter 13, verse 19. And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. We're going to deal with this. We're going to deal with this in great detail momentarily. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there. We're going to deal with this as well. in detail. Verse 21. But wild beasts of the deserts shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there. These are the unclean birds, the hateful birds, the predatory birds, the scavengers. They're going to dwell in Babylon because there's going to be a great feast prepared for them. There's going to be carcasses everywhere. A great feast prepared for them after this place is destroyed. But wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there, and the wild beasts of the islands shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant places. And her time is near to come, and her days shall be prolonged. We're going to deal with all of this. We're going to deal with the fact that Babylon is going to be destroyed the way Sodom and Gomorrah was destroyed. We're going to deal with the part that says that Babylon was never going to be inhabited. And we're going to deal with the part that dragons are going to inhabit their pleasant places. We're going to deal with all that because this is what Revelations 18:2 was talking about. But Isaiah gives it to you in much greater detail. So let's go. The first question we have to ask ourselves, we look at verse number 22, it speaks about dragons, right? We went over this before. This is anthropomorphism. It's a literary device that's being used. That's all. Verse 22, and wild beasts of the island shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons in their pleasant places. So is it talking about these green dragons that we saw when we watched cartoons growing up as children? Is these the dragons that's going to inhabit Babylon after Babylon is fallen and destroyed? Is that what it's talking about? Let's go to the next slide. Now, when you go and you look up this word dragons, it gives you the way that they write it out in English here is tanin. So in the Lashawan Kodash, we say thunyan, right? Or tanin, as they say right here. I want you guys to take a look at how that word is used elsewhere in the Bible. It's used in Genesis chapter 1, verse 21, when it describes the great whales that the Most High created that were in the waters during the time of the creation. In Exodus chapter 7, verse 9, the word is used to describe serpents or snakes. This is the time when Moses and Aaron did that miracle with the serpents. So these are snakes. Does everybody understand that? You see the same thing in Exodus 7, verse 10. The word is used for serpents or snakes. You see it in Exodus 7, verse 12. It's used for serpents or snakes. In Deuteronomy 32 and 33, it's used in likeness to the venom of asps, snakes, right? So you guys are getting the idea. This is not literally talking about dragons. This is the reason why people don't believe in the Bible, because they see certain words and they don't do the investigative work to see what the Bible is talking about. It's not literally talking about dragons whatsoever. Their houses are going to be inhabited by snakes and all types of other reptiles that inhabit places that are not inhabited by humans anymore. That's what's going to become of Babylon. Does everybody see that? But it uses the word dragons. If you don't do the investigative work, then you can become subject to be somebody that doesn't believe in the Bible because you think the Bible is literally talking about dragons like these. And it's not. Everybody clear? Okay. Furthermore, let's do comparative text. So we see all the places in the Bible, right, that the word dragon is used on the left-hand side in the KJV. Everybody sees that, right? When we look at comparative or other translations of the same scriptures, we see in some places where it says dragons, it's talking about jackals. Jackals are like dogs, wild dogs. You guys do know that, right? It's like wild dogs, but it's translated as dragons in the KJV. These wild dogs are predators. They'll eat dead bodies and all that. That's what they'll do. Dead bodies of animals and dead bodies of humans. They'll eat that. So it's going to be jackals there. Or animals in the jackal family, right? Because jackals are really found in Africa. So it would be animals like the white wolf and other related species that are here, like in America. They'll be here to partake in that great feast, right? You also see in certain places crocodiles, translated as dragons. You see in certain places you have wolves, translated as dragons. Does everybody see that? What else do we have? Right here in Isaiah 27:1, birds of omen, meaning predator birds, like vultures that like to eat dead carcasses of anything. They're going to be here, partaking of this great feast when the Most High destroys Babylon. So that word dragon is all encompassing. It encompasses a lot of different things in different scriptures. So when the Most High destroys this place, it's going to be a great feast for these animals, and they're going to dwell here, and they're going to enjoy themselves. Does everybody see that? All right, I think you guys get the idea. No need of me prolonging the scripture. Let's move on to the next one, right? What takes place right after Babylon's fall? Let's read this again. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 13. We're going to pick it up from verse 1. And we're going to read through it again, and we're going to see what happens directly after this Babylon falls, according to the Bible. This is Isaiah chapter 13, verse 1. It says, the burden of Babylon, which Isaiah the son of Amos did see. Verse number 19. And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation, neither shall the Arabian pitch tent there, neither shall the shepherds make their fold there, but wild beasts of the desert shall lie there. What are the wild beasts? The ones we just saw in the slide before. All these wild beasts here, these, right? Verse 21, but wild beasts of the desert shall lie there, and their houses shall be full of doleful creatures, and owls shall dwell there, and satyrs shall dance there. And the wild beasts of the islands shall cry in their desolate houses, and dragons, what dragons? All these different beasts that we saw right here that were all translated as dragons in the KJV. When you do research, it's all these predatory animals, birds and mammals. And dragons in their pleasant places, and her time is near to come, and her days shall not be prolonged. That's the end of Isaiah chapter 13. Babylon is going to be overthrown like when the Lord destroyed Sodom and Gomorrah, and it's going to become a habitation for all these predatory animals to feast on what's left. And what happens subsequent or right after this happens? Isaiah chapter 14, verse 1. For the Lord will have mercy on Jacob and will yet choose Israel and set them in their own land. And the strangers shall be joined with them, and they shall cleave to the house of Jacob, and the people shall take them and bring them to their place, and the house of Israel shall possess them in the land of the Lord for servants and handmaids, and they shall take them captive, whose captives they were, and they shall rule over their oppressors. That's what's going to happen when the Most High destroys Babylon, according to the Bible. That's what's going to happen next. Is everybody with me? Israel is going to be re-established. The house of Israel is going to be set on top of the mountain and exalted above all the other hills. That's Isaiah chapter 2 and Micah chapter 4. That's what happens right after Babylon falls. Everybody with me? All this is related to Revelation 18. The same thing that we saw John talking about, we see in the book of Isaiah, but Isaiah is giving us more details. Let's continue on. Let's jump over to Isaiah chapter 34. We're going to start from verse number 6. It says, the sword of the Lord is filled with blood. It is made fat with fatness, and with the blood of lambs and goats, with the fat of the kidneys of rams. For the Lord hath a sacrifice in Bozrah, and a great slaughter in the land of Idumea, because Idumea, or the Idumeans, or the Edomites, are modern day Babylon. They are the daughter of Babylon, as we're going to see later on in the lesson. Verse 7. And the unicorn shall come down with them. By the way, does everybody know what the word unicorn means? The word unicorn means one horn. Animals that have one horn. It's not talking about that the unicorns that you guys see in fairy tales. An example of a modern day unicorn would be a rhinoceros. It has one horn. Uni means one, and corn means horn. So animals with one horn. That's it. It's not nothing crazy. And the bullocks with their bulls, and their land shall be soaked with blood, and their dust made fat with fatness. For it is the day of the Lord's vengeance, and the year of the recompenses, meaning the paybacks, for the controversy of Zion. And the streams thereof shall be turned into pitch, and the dust thereof into brimstone, and the land thereof shall become burning pitch. It shall not be quenched night nor day. The smoke thereof shall go up forever. So forever and ever, there's going to be a smoke going up from this place after this place is destroyed as an everlasting memorial or a remembrance of when the Most High destroyed this wicked place. From generation to generation, it shall lie waste. None shall pass through it forever and ever. But the cormorant and the bittern shall possess it. The owl also and the raven, these are these hateful birds that's spoken about, and unclean birds that's spoken about in Revelation chapter 18, verse 2, and the same thing in Isaiah chapter 13. These are the birds of prey that are going to be in this place, eating what's left. It's going to be a great feast for them. The owl also and the raven shall dwell therein, and he shall stretch out upon it the line of confusion and the stones of emptiness. Let's move on. Now, this is what I want to teach you guys. Let's go back to Isaiah 13 and 19, because there's a controversy out there. So we kind of want to take a look at it and see if what's being taught is true. This is mainly for you brothers that are teachers, in case you encounter this. Those that don't want to identify America as this Babylon in Isaiah chapter 13 will tell you that Cyrus the Great fulfilled the prophecy of Isaiah chapter 13, verse 19. That's what they're going to tell you. So what I did was I went and I got a screenshot of Christian commentaries teaching that. So let's look at this Christian commentary right here. It's called from a website called aboutbibleprophecy.com. Babylon's kingdom would be overthrown permanently, right? And you guys see the passage, Isaiah 13, verse 19. So we didn't run away from the problem. We ran to it. Are the Christian commentaries right? Is our breakdown off? Did Cyrus really fulfill this already? And we're bugging out? Let's read what they say. It says, in Isaiah 13, verse 19, the prophet said Babylon would be overthrown permanently. History confirms that when Cyrus conquered Babylon in 539 BC, it never rose to power as an empire. Before the time of Cyrus, however, Babylon had been defeated by the Assyrian Empire, but was able to recover and later conquered the Assyrian Empire. However, like Isaiah prophesied 2,700 years ago, the Babylonian Empire never recovered from Cyrus's conquest. Now, I want you brothers that are teachers, I want you to put your thinking caps on for a minute. What did they leave out of their commentary? What did they leave out? I'm going to give you guys a second. If you guys want to put it in the chat, you guys can put it in the chat. They left something out. I'm going to give you guys like 10 seconds, and then we're going to move on because time is of the essence. What they left out is how Babylon was going to fall. It is true that Babylon did fall to Cyrus. That is true. So they take that to say that this prophecy was already fulfilled. The problem is in Isaiah 13, verse 19, it tells you how this Babylon was going to be overthrown. Let's read it again. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 13, verse 19. It says, and Babylon, the glory of the kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency, shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. That's important. So yes, Cyrus did take down Babylon. But did it happen the way the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah? That's the question we have to ask ourselves. We have to look into that and see. Let's go to the next slide. Well, the answer is, first of all, let's see how the Most High overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. This is the book of Genesis chapter 19, verse 24. It says, then the Lord rained upon Sodom and Gomorrah brimstone and fire from the Lord out of heaven. That's the way Sodom and Gomorrah fell. A fiery fall. Does everybody understand that? A fiery fall. Fire and brimstone is how Sodom and Gomorrah fell. Well, Isaiah tells us that's the same way that Babylon was going to fall. So now we have to go and do some research and some history. So I went to a website called worldhistory.org, right? /Babylon. Let's read it. It says the Neo-Babylonian Empire continued after the death of Nebuchadnezzar II, and Babylon continued to play an important role in the region under the rule of Nabonidus and his successor Belshazzar. In 539 BC, the empire fell to the Persians under Cyrus the Great. So there it is. The Christians say, see, Cyrus fulfills Isaiah 13, right? At the Battle of Opis, Babylon's walls were impregnable, and so the Persians cleverly devised a plan whereby they diverted the course of the Euphrates River so that it fell to a manageable depth. While the residents of the city were distracted by one of their great religious feast days, the Persian army waded the river and marched under the walls of Babylon unnoticed. Here it comes. It was claimed the city was taken what? What does that say? Without a fight. There was no violence for Cyrus to overtake Babylon when he overtook it. Does everybody see that? Does everybody see that? Does that fit the prophecy of Isaiah 13? It does not. It does not. Isaiah said, Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. We see in Genesis 19:24, Sodom and Gomorrah was overthrown with fire and brimstone. That's how it fell. So this is wrong. We don't give a damn what the commentaries say. The Bible supersedes the commentaries. What does the book say? How does the book say Babylon is going to fall? Fire. And the same thing is said in Revelation 17 and 18 as well, that Babylon the Great would fall with what? Fire. We're going to read that. So this Babylon that Isaiah is talking about in Isaiah chapter 13 is not ancient Babylon. It's this one. It's this one. Understand that. Let's watch this video real quick.
The fall of Babylon is a historical event that occurred in 539 BC. This event saw the conquest of Babylon by the Achaemenid Empire under Cyrus the Great and marked the end of the Neo-Babylonian Empire. The fall of Babylon is reported by a number of ancient sources, including the Cyrus Cylinder, the Greek historian Herodotus, as well as a number of books in the Old Testament. The city of Babylon is located in modern-day Iraq, and its history stretches back to the 3rd millennium BC, when it was a small port town on the Euphrates River. At that time, Babylon was part of the Akkadian Empire. Over time, the town would grow and develop into one of the most important cities in ancient Mesopotamia. It was during the 18th century BC that Babylon became a major power in the region under the rule of the Amorite king, Hammurabi. The First Babylonian Empire, however, was short-lived as it soon fell under the dominion of foreigners, including the Hittites, the Kassites, and the Assyrians. Following the death of Ashurbanipal around 627 BC, civil war broke out in the Neo-Assyrian Empire, caused it to weaken. Many subjects of the Neo-Assyrian Empire seized this opportunity to revolt. One of these was a Chaldean chief by the name of Nabopolassar, who formed an alliance with the Medes, Persians, Scythians, and Sumerians. This coalition succeeded in destroying the Neo-Assyrian Empire. Having gained independence from the Assyrians, Nabopolassar established the Neo-Babylonian Empire, with Babylon as its capital. The empire reached its zenith during the reign of Nebuchadnezzar II, who succeeded Nabopolassar in around 605 BC. During Nebuchadnezzar II's reign, which lasted until around 562 BC, the Neo-Babylonian Empire was in control of Babylonia, Assyria, parts of Asia Minor, Phoenicia, Israel, and northern Arabia. The kings who succeeded Nebuchadnezzar II were much less capable than him and had rather short reigns. In the decade that followed Nebuchadnezzar II's death, the Neo-Babylonian Empire had 4 different rulers, the last of whom was Nabonidus, who reigned from 556 BC to the fall of Babylon in 539 BC. Nabonidus reigned for a total of 17 years and is remembered for his restoration of the region's ancient architectural and cultural traditions, hence earning him the nickname, the Archaeologist King, among modern-day historians. Nevertheless, he was unpopular with his subjects, especially the priests of Marduk, as he had suppressed the cult of Marduk, the patron god of Babylon, in favor of the moon god Sin. In the meantime, the Persians to the east were growing in power under the leadership of Cyrus the Great. In 549 BC, the Medes were defeated by the Persians, who then proceeded to conquer the territory around Babylon. Finally, in 539 BC, the city of Babylon itself was taken by the Persians. The fall of Babylon marked the end of the Neo-Babylonian Empire. This momentous event has been recorded by a number of ancient historians. Due to inconsistencies, it is difficult to reconstruct the actual events that took place. The Greek writers Herodotus and Xenophon report that Babylon fell after it was besieged. On the other hand, the Cyrus Cylinder and the Nabonidus Chronicle, which is part of the Babylonian Chronicles, claim that Babylon was conquered by the Persians without a fight.
Yeah, there was. The Babylonians in their records, the Babylonian Chronicles, the Cyrus Cylinder, and the Nabonidus Chronicle tell you when Babylon fell, there was no fight. Same thing that I just showed you guys on this website right here, worldhistory.org. So Cyrus does not fulfill what Isaiah 13 is talking about. Isaiah 13 is giving us a window into Babylon falling. What Babylon? Babylon the Great. That's what it's showing us. Are there some aspects of Isaiah 13 and Isaiah 14 that take place in Isaiah's time, contemporary? Yes. Yes. But it's a lot deeper than that. There's many things that were not fulfilled in those prophecies because those prophecies are pointing to another Babylon or the daughter of Babylon, which we believe to be America. Hope everybody's following along. Let's move on. Now let's look at Isaiah chapter 13, verse number 20. Let's see what else it says. Well, let's start from verse 19 again to give us some context. It says, in Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of the Chaldees' excellency shall be as when God overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah, which we know that was fire and brimstone. Cyrus didn't do that because there wasn't even a fight. But let's read verse number 20. It shall never be inhabited. So after this Babylon would fall, the Bible says it will, what? It shall never be inhabited, neither shall it be dwelt in from generation to generation. Okay? So now let's going to come over here to this encyclopedia entry right here. The entry is called The Fall of Babylon on Wikipedia, and there's other sources, but I use the easiest one I could use so I could take a screenshot. Let's read. It says, the Neo-Babylonian Empire had pursued a policy of population transfer, meaning when the Babylonians were ruling, they would uproot people from their ancient lands and put them in captivity in Babylon or other places. They would move people around. That's what they would do. And they would place foreign populations in people's lands. That's what the Babylonians would do. Okay? The Neo-Babylonian Empire had pursued a policy of population transfer. Watch this. But one of the first acts of Cyrus was to allow these exiles to do what? To return to their homeland. So there were people, when Cyrus came into power, that were Babylonians that were allowed to go back. Wait a minute. Because the Bible says that's not supposed to happen. Once Babylon falls, it's not supposed to be inhabited. So how the hell is Cyrus fulfilling the prophecy of Isaiah 13? And we're reading in history, Cyrus is sending people back to live in Babylon. How does that work? It doesn't work. Does everybody see that? I'm trying not to go too fast, but I'm trying to be thorough for you guys to see what's happening here. It says the Neo-Babylonian Empire had pursued a policy of population transfer, but one of the first acts of Cyrus was to allow these exiles to return to their homes, carrying with them the images of their gods and their sacred vessels. Permission to do so was embodied in a proclamation whereby the conqueror endeavored to justify his claim to the Babylonian throne. It was a way of appeasing the Babylonians by allowing them to go back into their lands and to take their gods and everything with them and go back into their land and worship their gods. He did the same thing for the Israelites. Let's keep reading. According to the biblical account, Cyrus sent the Jewish exiles back to Israel from the Babylonian captivity. So the same thing that the Bible tells us that Cyrus did for us, Cyrus also did for other people that were exiled from their lands as well. They were allowed to go back into their lands as well. That does not fit the prophecy. Is everybody with me? People were still living in Babylon all that time, which is modern day Iraq today. The Bible says when this Babylon that's being spoken about here, when this Babylon goes down, it's never going to be inhabited from generation to generation. Hope everybody understands. Okay, we're going back to Revelation chapter 18. Revelation chapter 18, verse number 3. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. 1 second, y'all. Let me fix this a little bit. Right. Okay. It says, for all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. Now, I want to really quickly go to the book of Wisdom of Solomon, chapter 14. You guys should be familiar with this. We're going to start from verse number 9. It says, for the ungodly and his ungodliness are both alike hateful unto God. So God hates ungodly people and ungodly acts. In the book of Psalms, it says that God hates sinners. So all this thing about God not hating, I don't know what Bible they're reading, because mine says this. Verse number 10. For that which is made shall be punished together with him that made it. Therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be a visitation. So the Most High's, the same way when you guys go back and you look at the plagues the Most High brought down on Egypt, we always go over this during the time of the Passover. Every one of those plagues was against what? One of the Egyptian gods. Every last one of those plagues was associated with an Egyptian god that the Egyptians worshiped, and the Most High was showing that he was the God of gods. Therefore, verse 11, therefore, even upon the idols of the Gentiles shall there be visitation, because in the creature of God they are become an abomination, because these idols the Gentiles create cause man to worship them and do all types of ungodly acts in reverence to these damn idols. And stumbling blocks to the souls of men, and a snare to the feet of the unwise. Watch this. For the devising of idols was the beginning of spiritual fornication. So coming back to Revelation chapter 18, one of the ways that all the nations have committed fornication with Babylon the Great is by partaking in worshiping their gods. We know for a fact that through the so-called white man, specifically through the UBS, what is the UBS? The United Bible Societies. that Bibles have been translated into every language just about that's known to man throughout the earth. Now, somebody might say, well, that is a good thing. To a degree, that is a good thing. The problem is these Christian missionaries, these so-called white people, will take these Bibles and go into the land of all these other nations, right? And they bring Caesar Borgia with them. And they conquer these other nations and force these other nations to bow down to Caesar Borgia. And then, of course, some of these other nations willingly leave the traditions of their fathers, which are also pagan, by the way, but they willingly leave the tradition of their fathers and follow behind Caesar Borgia as well. Anything to get America to donate money to them, to send them, foreign aid, anything to attract corporations to come into their country and open up, businesses, so forth and so on. Anything to align with America to get the money, to get the bag, they're willing to do that. And what comes with Christianity? The spirit, let's just call it what it is. What comes with Christianity is the spirit of whoredom. That's what comes with it. Just look in the churches nowadays. What else comes with the spirit of Christianity? The spirit of the alphabet community. I'm going to say it that way for YouTube. The spirit of the alphabet community comes with Christianity as well. All over the earth, nations that would have otherwise and have traditionally otherwise been against the alphabet activities that took place in their countries, that made it a capital offense, meaning you were put to death for doing it. Now, a lot of these nations are bending their ancient stance of being against that in order to be in the good graces of America and really the European Union, in order to receive aid, in order to receive weapons, in order for businesses to come into their country and build the infrastructure, so forth and so on. And what has become of a lot of these countries? I know there are children listening, so I'm trying to put it in ways that are PG-13. It can't be PG, but it's going to be PG-13. A lot of sex tourism is happening in these countries because they've accepted America and the ways of America. And when I say sex tourism, I'm not just talking about the guys that's going over there looking to get with the women and making whores out of the women. I'm talking about these guys that are going over there and getting with the children. Pedophiles. Pedophilia is big. You have people, mostly Edomites, that go throughout Africa, that go throughout Asia, that go throughout certain parts of South America, specifically for children, because their parents will sell their children to these white men for the right price. That's the influence America's having on these other nations. Anything for $1. That's why the Bible teaches us the love of money is the root of all evil. Not the money itself, but what you will do for the money. What you will do for the riches is the root of all evil. And so these nations are in bed and committing fornication and doing evil with America, all for the money. Verse 3 again. For all nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. Yeah, that's what I was just talking about. They do it with her, openly, with no shame. And the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies, because they commit fornication with her, and as a reward, they receive benefits for doing so. And the nations that refuse to do so, they get embargoes put on them. The CIA infiltrates their country and causes and arms certain parts of the population to go against the government. Next thing you know, you have all these different civil wars going on all over the globe that the CIA is heavily involved in promoting. That's what the CIA does, in case anybody doesn't know. They go into these other countries and they agitate situations. They destabilize governments. What governments? The governments that are not willing to drink of the wine of the wrath of fornication. The nations that are not willing to have commit spiritual fornication with America. So they go in there, they destabilize the governments. And then they put a puppet ruler in place that's going to be willing to do what? Drink of the wine of the fornication, to get down with the program. That's what's going on all over the earth right now as we speak. So all the nations that did this, the Most High said they're going to receive judgment. Right along with America. A lot of your leaders, I ain't talking about in America, I'm talking about brothers and sisters that come from the Caribbean and South America. A lot of your leaders are corrupt. And they're in bed with America. I was watching a video, it came up on my timeline on TikTok this week. It was in Spanish. Thankfully, I speak relatively good Spanish. So I was able to follow along what they were saying. And what they were going into is that, for instance, a country like the Dominican Republic, just like America, most of the presidents of the Dominican Republic since they've been established as a country have been Freemasons, like literally part of Masonic lodges, like most of them. And we know that these Masonic lodges, all, whether it's the black ones, the Spanish ones, all of them are subordinate to the white Masons. We know this. You wonder why a lot of these leaders basically acquiesce to everything America wants them to do. Because they're Masons. They're all in bed together. Anyway, I need to move on. Let's go. I'm going to skip this. See, the slide says banned from YouTube. I know there's children watching. But man, you guys should see some of the artwork. Anyway, I'm going to leave that. That's banned from YouTube for now. Let's continue. Verse number 3. It says, and for all the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of fornication, and the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her. Let's look at Jeremiah chapter 51. Let's pick it up from verse number 1. Thus saith the Lord, behold, I will raise up against Babylon, and against them that dwell in the midst of them, that raise up against me a destroying wind. Hey, question, guys. Neo-Babylon that Jeremiah was prophesying against, did the Most High raise up a destroying wind against Neo-Babylon? No. We just read that that city fell to Cyrus and there was not even a fight. There's not even a fight. So this is talking about something else. A destroying wind. And will send unto Babylon fanners that shall fan her and shall empty her land. For in that day of trouble they shall be against her round about. Against him that bendeth, let the archer bend his bow. Against him that lifteth himself up in his brigandine, and spare ye not her young men, destroy ye utterly all her hosts. Thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and they that are thrust through in her streets. Cyrus didn't do this. Verse 5. For Israel hath not been forsaken, nor Judah of his God, of the Lord of hosts, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity. And we're going to get into this whole thing about fleeing out of Babylon. It's not talking about getting on a plane and leaving America. It's not talking about that. You're supposed to come out of Babylon spiritually and mentally. Forsake the ways of Babylon. That's how you flee out of her. Because this destruction that's the Bible is talking about is going to be taking place all over the world. There's nowhere to run to. We done seen one congregation try to run someplace and they had to come back. Anyway, verse 6. Flee out of the midst of Babylon and deliver every man his soul. Be not cut off in her iniquity, for this is the time of the Lord's vengeance. That's the same thing we read in Revelations. He shall render unto her a recompense, a judgment, a payback. Verse 7. Babylon hath been a golden cup in the Lord's hand, that hath made all the earth drunken. Therefore, have made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunken of her wine, her philosophies, her religion, her politics, all these things. And therefore, the nations are mad. They don't follow behind her, and now they're off as hell. So they're going to be judged right along with America. Let's move on. And I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. So the Bible is telling us to come out of her the same way that it says in the book of Jeremiah 51:6, we should flee out of the midst of Babylon. That's what it says in Jeremiah 51:6. Here in Revelation chapter 18, verse 4, it says, come out of her, right? Now, who is the her that we're supposed to come out of? Mystery Babylon, the mother of harlots. What does this mean? First of all, let's go to the book of Zechariah chapter 2, and we're going to pick it up from verse number 6 and verse number 7. Now, bear with me 1 second, guys. 1 second. Okay. Yeah. This is the book of Zechariah chapter 2, verse 6. It says, ho, ho, come forth, and flee from the land of the north, saith the Lord. For I have spread you abroad as the four winds of heaven, saith the Lord. Deliver thyself, O Zion, that dwellest with the daughter of Babylon. So what we're seeing right here is this Babylon that's going to be destroyed is not the Neo-Babylonian empire that Cyrus took over, the Persians took over. No, this is going to be the daughter of Babylon. So a lot of the prophecies that Isaiah was prophesying against Babylon was not directed towards Neo-Babylon, but it's directed towards the daughter of Babylon, or Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots, right? Now, let's go to the book of Psalms, chapter 137, and start from verse 7. It says, remember, O Lord, the children of Edom in the day of Jerusalem, who said, raise it, even to the foundation thereof. O daughter of Babylon. So who are the Edomites? The Edomites are the daughter of Babylon. Who rules America? Edom or Esau. That's who rules America. America is the daughter of Babylon, or Babylon the Great, the one that is to be destroyed. O daughter of Babylon, who art to be destroyed, happy shall he be that rewarded thee as thou hast served us. Happy shall he be that taketh and dasheth thy little ones against a stone. So there's a judgment that's going to come against the daughter of Babylon, aka Mystery Babylon, or Babylon the Great. And the Most High is telling his people to come out of her. What does that mean? Well, first, one of the ways we come out of her is coming out of her spiritually, as I said. This is the book of John, chapter 17. We're going to read verse number 16. It says, they are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. So you could be in the world, but you don't have to be of the world. That's how you come out of her. You put off all the wicked things that you learned in the society, and you do what God says to do. That's how you come out of her. You come out of her spiritually. You reject everything that you was taught from the time that you were a little kid that goes against the Bible, and you apply what God said to do. That's how you come out of her. This is John 17, verse 16. They are not of the world, even as I am not of the world. Sanctify them through thy truth. Thy word is truth. And as thou hast sent me into the world, even so have I also sent them into the world. And for their sakes I sanctify myself, that they also might be sanctified through the truth. So we're supposed to sanctify. The word sanctify means to cleanse. So we're supposed to cleanse ourselves through this truth. What is the truth? Let's just call it what it is. The law, statutes, and commandments, the Bible. That's how we cleanse ourselves. And when you cleanse yourself from this world, and you are no longer of the world, you have come out of her, even though you are in the world still. But you no longer partake of the things of the world. That's how you come out of her. You can't flee to Egypt to flee prophecy. We see in the book of Isaiah, I believe it's Isaiah chapter 30 and on, you see the Israelites were fleeing. And also in the book of Jeremiah, the Israelites were fleeing into Egypt to flee the judgment the Most High said he was going to bring via Nebuchadnezzar. And guess what? The Most High said wherever the Israelites were, they were still going to receive the judgment. They still were going to be judged anyway. Whether they were in Egypt or whether they were in the land. We see in 70 AD, a lot of the Jews fled Jerusalem when the Romans surrounded the city, but a lot of the Jews were slaughtered anyway. There's nowhere to go. Can't run. So we must come out of her spiritually. The hell you gonna do? Go to Egypt and be a sinner, but you done left Babylon and you think the Most High is gonna be, look over you? You haven't changed your ways. You haven't fully, really repented. You have hatred for your brother or your sister, but you're gonna flee to Egypt to flee judgment? Really? You have an adulterous spirit, but you're gonna flee to Egypt to flee judgment? No, that's not how it works. Wherever we go, judgment is going to pursue us. Just like in the book of Deuteronomy 28, it said, wherever Israel went, what the curses would pursue us. It's the same thing. So coming out of her represents coming out of her spiritually. Does everybody understand that? Let's move on. And when we come out of her spiritually, this is going to happen. Let's go back a couple of chapters, Revelation chapter 11, verse 8. It says, and their dead bodies shall lie in the street of the great city, which spiritually is called Sodom and Egypt, where our Lord was also crucified. And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their dead bodies to be put in graves. Now, what this goes into, I'm going to say it real quick because I really don't want to get too far off into this. What it's saying is that the Israelites are not physically dead as a people, but we're spiritually dead. The nations know who we are. The book of Psalms 83, as well as Psalms chapter 2, let us know these nations have conspired together against the Lord and against the Lord's people, his anointed. They've conspired. They want to cut off the name of Israel off the face of the earth so that we're no longer remembered. And one of the ways they did that was creating a fake state in 1948 and putting imposters in there. But they know that those special people over there, the ones that's good at everything, they're at the bottom, but whatever condition that they're put in, whatever condition they're placed in, hell, slavery was as bad as it can get. But whatever condition we're put in, we persevere. As a matter of fact, whatever position we're put in, we thrive in that. We thrive in it. There's a spirit that's with our people that's not with any other nation. That's why the nations have a love-hate relationship with our people. They want to take all of our ideas. They want to suck us dry from all of our talents and all of our gifts that God gave us. But they really hate us because they know who we are. That's why they hate the fact that this truth is coming out. That's why you can have a ton of Christians in 50 different denominations that will be at war with each other, but they agree on one thing: they hate the Israelites. I'm seeing Christians align with goddamn atheists. I've seen it on Sonetta's channel. I see it on Clubhouse. People that are unbelievers. And they're lockstep with Christians to come against Israelites. You see it on Clubhouse every day. Black people aligning with white people to come against the Israelites because they hate us. Because we are spiritually dead as a people, but they see the movement starting to wake people up, and that's trouble in their spirit. Verse 9 again. And they of the people and kindreds and tongues and nations shall see their dead bodies 3 days and a half, and shall not suffer their bodies to be put in graves, because we are not physically dead, we're spiritually dead. Verse 10. And they that dwell upon the earth shall rejoice over them and make merry, and shall send gifts one to another, because these two prophets, Judah and Israel, tormented them that dwell upon the earth. Verse 11. And after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from God entered into them. That's what you guys are seeing now. That's what you guys are seeing now. The spirit of life is entering into our people. They're waking up to who they are, their nationality first and foremost, and they're repenting, And they're keeping God's commandments to the best of their ability. And so it's troubling these nations. Because for the longest time, these nations had us in derision. Many of us in the world, we were in a mindset where you hated your own people. You might have been in a gang, and you had a rival gang across town that was your own people. And you was willing to kill your own people for the color of the bandana that they wear, or the color of their shirt, or the color of their hat. Because they were selling more drugs than you, or whatever the situation might be. You had that hatred towards your own people, but you loved the white man, though. You loved the white man, but you hated your own people. But now the spirit of life is entering into our people, and they're repenting in great numbers. And it's to the point now where even celebrities are starting to pick up on this thing. Some of them are speaking openly about it and committing career suicide, but there's a lot more that know it that's not saying nothing. So this message is reaching everywhere, and they know it. Verse 11 again, and after 3 days and a half, the spirit of life from God entered into them, and they stood upon their feet, and great fear fell upon them which saw them. Yeah, they fear this movement. Don't let them tell you differently. They fear this. That's why they hate it so much. That's why people like Vocab Malone have made it his life's mission to come against the Israelites. It's his life's mission. There are other Christians he doesn't agree with, but he has no problem with that. You got the Muslims, but he has no problem with that. You have the atheists, but he has no problem with that. It's them Israelites. Why? Because we represent the end of them. Esau is the end of the world, and Jacob is what? The beginning of it that followeth. Just by seeing us standing upon our feet is a fearful thing, because they're literally seeing their end right before their eyes. Verse 12. And when the Israelites wake up and stand upon their feet, repent and keep God's commandments, and come out of the ways of America, like it says, come out of her, this is what happens. And they heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies beheld them. They're going to see our deliverance. We're going to come out of her ways spiritually first and repent. And when the servants of the Most High are sealed, pursuant to the book of Revelation chapter 7, when that 144,000 is sealed, we're literally going to be taken up out of here. We're going to come out of her literally. That's what the Bible is showing us. Let's take a look real quick. Revelation chapter 11, verse 12. Look at this real quick again. It says, and I heard a great voice from heaven saying unto them, come up hither. And they ascended up to heaven in a cloud, and their enemies behold them. What does it mean by a cloud? Well, we know Hollywood gives you an idea that they know exactly what the Bible is talking about. So we're going to take it all the way back to the movie Independence Day, and I'm going to show you something about these clouds that the Bible is talking about. Pay attention. Fair use, fair use, fair use. And another thing, before we watch the video, isn't it ironic, and we all know this, isn't it ironic that Esau, the so-called white man in Hollywood, have an obsession in so many movies, countless movies, of showing you them being destroyed? Why do you guys think that is? I don't think any other nation that ever ruled this earth, and you guys could correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, whatever, I don't think any other nation that ever ruled this earth ever memorialized or had a fetish for their own destruction. They promoted their own destruction. I don't think any nation before Esau has ever done that. But these Edomites will show you in movie after movie after movie of themselves being destroyed, because they know in their spirit, they know. Fair use. Aren't you coming, David? No, I gotta see this. When they said a cloud, that's the cloud. Does everybody see that? That's the cloud. Let's go back a little bit. That's the cloud. It's the chariots. They got that out the Bible. Let's look at the book of Ezekiel, chapter 1, verse 1. It says, "Now it came to pass in the 13th year, in the 4th month, in the 5th day of the month, as I was among the captives by the river of Kabar, that the heavens were open, and I saw visions of God. In the 5th day of the month, which was the 5th year of King Jehoiachin's captivity, the word of the Lord came expressly unto Ezekiel the priest, the son of Buzi, in the land of the Chaldeans by the river Kibar, and the hand of the Lord was there upon him. And I looked and beheld, a whirlwind came out of the north, a great cloud, and a fire enfolding itself." And this is showing you that everybody is seeing this. This is not something that people ain't gonna see. They're going to see it. Everybody's going to behold this. Everybody. This is what the Bible is showing us. All right, let's move on. I've spent too much time on some of these slides as always. Let's move on. There's a lot to cover. Let's go. Let's look at the book of Psalms, chapter 27, real quick. It says, "The Lord is my light and my salvation. Whom shall I fear? The Lord is the strength of my life. Of whom shall I be afraid? When the wicked, even my enemies and my foes, came upon me to eat up my flesh, they stumbled and fell. Though an host should encamp against me, my heart shall not fear. Though war should rise up against me, in this will I be confident," because war is coming, brothers and sisters. The Bible tells you in the book of Revelation, chapter 12, verse 14, the dragon was wroth with the woman and made war with her remnant that do what? That keep the commandments. So war is going to rise up against us for teaching this truth. Esau is not going down without a fight. I need for everybody to understand that. So we're using David's situation when David was going through his tribulation before he became king. And even when David became king, throughout his reign, there was a lot of tribulation as well, especially towards the end after he sinned. We have to be confident that when these things come, that the Most High got our back. And there's a reward for us being and remaining faithful. Verse 4. "One thing have I desired of the Lord, that will I seek after, that I may dwell in the house of the Lord all the days of my life, to behold the beauty of the Lord and to inquire in his temple." We can apply that to modern times. The thing that we should desire of the Most High is that we dwell in this truth all the days of our life, from the day that you come in until the day you die, if you pass away before Yahushua and the angels come back. You should be desiring of the Most High, and you should be praying to the Most High. That should be part of your prayers, that the Most High keep you in this truth. And it's not going to be easy, because a lot of people that you know and love are not going to endure, especially when the tribulation really starts coming. When the dragon really becomes wroth with us in this truth and starts making war with those of us that keep the commandments. If you want an inkling to how that's going to look, read the book of Acts. How much tribulation the apostles had to go through in order to proliferate the gospel. That's why the book of Acts says, we shall through what? Much tribulation enter into the kingdom of heaven. It's the same thing. Tribulation is a form of refinement, to refine you, to try you, to test you. So we should be asking the Most High to keep us in this truth all the days of our life. No matter who falls out, no matter what comes, no matter what is said about this truth. And one of the ways, I'm going to give you guys a secret. One of the ways to be able to endure in this truth is to never, ever, under any circumstances, put your faith or trust in man. Man is fallible. Your faith and trust should be in the Most High. The Most High does give you leaders. And you should follow those leaders that the Most High set up that are righteous, and the Most High shows you that those men are righteous. You should follow them. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is your trust. Like if that man goes off tomorrow, you can't now say, well, I don't know if it's the truth because that man was a great and mighty man he was teaching, so now I don't know. That's not the way it's supposed to work. The Most High is going to try some people like that. It's going to try you. That was one of my things of refinement. The very people that brought me into the truth when I first came in, they didn't even stay in the school. They didn't even stay. But I stayed. The very person that was teaching me, one of the premier, because there were many teachers that taught me, but the premier person that was teaching in the school when I was there now is off as hell with a boatload of doctrines. But guess what? I can't follow that. I can't follow that. And so I learned real quickly not to put my faith and trust in man. I can respect you. I can reverence you in a way where if you're following behind what the Bible says, like Paul said in 1 Corinthians chapter 11, follow me as I follow Christ, be followers of me as I follow Christ. As long as you are that type of leader, then I can follow you. But the minute that you're not following Yahweh Shai no more, and you come with this crazy stuff, I can't follow you, bro. I can't. And that's how you stay in the truth. Your spirit is not so knitted into somebody else's spirit that when they stop following what the book says, you stop following. Pray to the Most High to give you that strength. All right? Let's move on. Verse 5. For in the time of trouble he shall hide me in his pavilion. In the secret of his tabernacle shall he hide me. He shall set me up upon a rock. And now shall mine head be lifted up above my enemies round about me. And if you stay steadfast in this thing, like David did, the Most High exalted him and he was lifted up above his enemies. And the same is true in Revelation chapter 11, verse 12. You're going to be taken up out of Babylon the Great. Most High is going to literally take us up out of here if we endure, and all your enemies, everybody that has something to say about you being in the truth, whatever it may be, they're going to behold that. And you're going to behold them getting their reward as well. Because they're going to receive of the plagues that's coming against Babylon the Great. Understand that. Let's move on. Revelation chapter 18, verse 4, it says, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sin. That's how you come out of her, that you don't partake of her sins. That's how you come out of her. You don't have to leave America. You simply don't partake of her sins, and that you receive not of her plagues. What are the plagues that are coming to America? Well, one of them is nuclear, aka hellfire. That's coming. That's coming. This is the book of Zechariah chapter 14, verses 12 through 13. And this shall be the plague, wherewith the Lord shall smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Everybody that fought against our people are going to receive of these plagues. This plague specifically, fire. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet. Their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongues shall consume in their mouth. Let's take a look at something very similar in this Terminator 2 film. You guys have seen this before. Let's go. Don't ever think they just write these scripts just out of pure talent. Somebody just had a great idea for a movie. No, this is all based on Bible, y'all.
This way. Hey. Go.
She's trying to warn them about the fire that's coming. But they can't hear it. That's her flesh and her eyes consuming away. And yet another film of them showing their destruction by fire. No way that they don't know what the Bible is saying. There's no way. There's no way. Look at that. Look at that. Let's move on. Let's look at Isaiah chapter 66, verse 15, because we saw that there's going to be nuclear fire. But Yahushua is coming with fire as well. This is the book of Isaiah 66, verse 15. It says, "For behold, the Lord will come with fire, and with his chariots like a whirlwind, to render his anger with fury and his rebuke with flames of fire." So how is the Lord going to rebuke the people? With fire. "For by fire and by his sword will the Lord plead with all flesh." All nations that got together with Babylon, the Most High is going to plead with them by fire. "And the slain of the Lord shall be many." Why fire? Why fire as a plague? Well, one of the reasons is because fire is a purifier. Let's look at the Encyclopedia Britannica. The transformation of pollution, Babylon, into purity. Fire is perhaps one of the most symbolically complex phenomena in the history of human culture. It renders raw meats and vegetables into cooked and edible foods, base minerals into useful and durable metals, and porous dirt and clay into watertight pottery. It destroys the forests and bushlands, but its ashes make the earth fertile and productive. Fire is thus viewed as a powerful transformer of the negative to the positive. Because of such properties, fire is commonly found in purification rites throughout the world. Polluted persons may be required to walk around or jump over or jump through a fire. So fire is used for purification. So when the Most High brings fire down on here, when the Most High brings fire down on the land of Israel as we know it today, the Most High is bringing that down, bring that fire down to do what? To purify the land. You have them so-called Jews over there eating kosher pork, right? Having gay parades and all types of other abominable things that they're doing over there. The Most High is not just going to give us the land and we're just going to go back there and dwell as it is. The Most High is going to purify that place with fire. That's the point. Let's move on. Revelation chapter 18, verses 5 through 7. "For her sins have reached unto heaven, and God hath remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her, double according to her works. In the cup which she had filled, fill to her double. How much she hath glorified herself and lived deliciously. So much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit as a queen, I am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. This is the book of Lamentations, chapter 4, verses 21 and 22. Rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, that dwellest in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass through unto thee. Same cup that we're reading about in Revelation chapter 18. Thou shalt be drunken and shall make thyself naked. They're going to expose themselves, and they are exposing themselves who they are. They are being revealed as being Babylon the Great by everything that they're doing. All the signs are there. The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. He will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sins. So the Most High already put us in all the captivities that we're going to be in. Remember, Esau is the end of the world, as 2 Ezra chapter 6, and Jacob is the beginning of it that follows. So our captivity is accomplished. Their punishment is next up on the docket. Let's move on. It says in verse 7 that they have lived deliciously. What is that talking about? They're able to live deliciously by keeping us subjugated and keeping us ignorant. And we know that that's done, I'm just going to give an umbrella term, mainly through their media and all its tentacles, mainly through their education system and all its tentacles. That's how they keep us subjugated, and that's how they keep us ignorant. Now, I don't know if you guys have ever seen this before, but this is something called the eugenics tree. Some of you guys are familiar with it. Some of you guys are not. Eugenics is the self-direction of human evolution. So you have all these different roots of eugenics, of the eugenics tree. You have anatomy, biology, physiology, psychiatry, mental testing, right? You have anthropology, history, geology, right? You have ethnology, you have law, you have statistics, politics, economics, biography, genealogy, sociology, religion, psychiatry, surgery, medicine. Look what it says underneath. It says, like a tree, eugenics draws its material from many sources and organizes them into a harmonious entity. What is this harmonious entity? This harmonious entity is that which keeps us subjugated and ignorant so that they can live deliciously. They do this through their medicine. They get rich off their medicine. There's a book everybody should be aware of called Medical Apartheid, and how they use the medical industry to get rich while destroying our people. Surgeries. They have our women going into surgery, young women in their 20s and 30s going into hospitals and having hysterectomies. There's a big problem amongst our women when it comes to developing fibroids. They develop fibroids. A lot of women develop fibroids, and that's a whole nother conversation that I'm going to let Sister Malika have, which y'all, although she's had it already. But a lot of times women develop what's called fibroids and other things. And the doctors are quick to tell women when they develop these things that you have to go and you have to have a hysterectomy. You have to remove your womb. These are childbearing women in their 20s and their 30s having hysterectomies for no reason. Instead of their medical industry giving them natural remedies that they know that can shrink the fibroids, so forth and so on, and they don't have to have a hysterectomy, but they don't have any now because we're ignorant. And it's not our fault. We're not taught these things. These women don't have no direction and no knowledge of what these things are, and that there are ways to do it without removing your womb. And you got white folks getting rich off that stuff because of our ignorance. All these different roots. I could stay here for the next 2 or 3 days talking about all these different things and how they're related and how white people use them to get rich and weaponize them against us. That's how they live deliciously. How many of you guys are familiar with this book called How White Folks Got Rich So Fast? You guys ever heard of that book before? If you haven't heard of this book, get it off of Amazon. It's cheap too. How white folks got rich so fast. In other words, how they're able to live deliciously. Which is why they're going to be tormented, because the way that they do it is they use it and weaponize it against us. That's how they're able to do it. So they got to pay for that. Let's go in and let's look at some of the chapters that are in this book, right? So here's the table of contents. Through the Indian land grab, right? You have head rights, the great land giveaway to whites. That was the what is that act that they had? Homestead Act. Sorry, man, I drew a blank. The Homesteaders Act. I don't know if you guys know about that, right? In the 1800s, they had something called the Homesteaders Act, where they were giving away land to Europeans. After slavery, they were giving away land to Europeans that were able to come from other countries, and they were giving them land and not giving it to black people. And a lot of these so-called A&M universities are universities that were created to teach these Europeans how to farm land in America. So not only did they give them the land, but they also gave them the education how to farm these lands. And these lands have been passed down from generation to generation to generation in these families, while black people in America can't get nothing. So-called foundational black Americans can't get nothing. These are called the Homesteader Acts. Real quick, I know time is of the essence, but a lot of you guys maybe have never heard of that. So let's look at that real quick. What is the Homesteaders Act? Got to know about this stuff. Hopefully it gives me everything in the first paragraph. The Homestead Acts, right? This is from Wikipedia. The Homestead Acts were several laws in the United States by which an applicant could acquire ownership of government land or public domain, typically called a homestead, right? These acts were passed right around the time of the 1800s. You guys can read about this on your own. And what they were doing is they were actually bringing in people from Europe and other nations to come in, and they were actually giving them these lands and building universities to teach them how to basically farm the land. And these lands have been passed down from generation to generation. Meanwhile, they tell the foundational black Americans, right, the descendants of slaves, they tell you to pull up your bootstraps. That's how they got rich. That's how they're able to live deliciously and then look down at you and tell you to pull up your bootstraps. Meanwhile, they were giving these lands for free. Right? The fourth one is slavery, the most profitable business of all time. Jim Crow, sharecropping, religious racism, the curse of Ham. You have black people flocking into Christianity, many of them sitting under white pastors with mega churches because you're looking at yourself as though you're cursed. And the white man is Jesus. That white skin is holy and yours is cursed. There's a whole industry around that. People get rich behind that thing. Labor unions. A lot of unions, especially the construction unions, you so-called blacks, Hispanics, you're not in these unions, man. The white people are, the Irish, the Italians. You go, especially, I'm talking about, because I'm from New York, especially in New York, these daggone unions in New York, they're run by the damn Italians. They get into these unions, some of them be having no-show jobs. They don't even have to come to work. You know what I'm saying? And getting rich. Plessy versus Ferguson. Separate but not equal. The stock market. Student debt. Slavery for black people. Student debts. A lot of our parents, they told us to go to college, right? Many of us. We went to college and we got what equates to a useless degree. What do I mean by useless degree? Meaning you making under $100,000 a year, but you're $100,000 or more in debt. You have a beautiful degree on your wall that costs you $100,000 to go to school, $75,000, whatever it is to go to school, and you work in a job that pays you $50,000, $60,000 a year, and you're drowning in debt. Because you had nobody to tell you you'd be better off going to school and learning a trade and going to college if you want to get a career in STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. That's where the money is. But black people are herded into these universities because we're told that that piece of paper is, and I'm not speaking against anybody that got it, Please, nobody be offended. I'm not speaking against anybody that got it, but understand the trick bag with that. And a lot of people now are learning this later on. Unfortunately, they're saying that the highest people that are enrolled in college right now is our sisters, Black women. They're the highest enrolled, but the sad part about it is they're not the highest enrolled in STEM. Science, technology, engineering, and math. That's where the money is. If you get a degree in liberal arts, more likely than not, you're going to get a job that's going to be underpaying you, and you're going to be drowning in debt. You have a lot of Israelites right now that are drowning in debt from college, and you in your 30s, maybe even 40s. White folks getting rich off of that stuff, man. That's a get-rich scheme. I'm sorry to say, but it is. We got to call a spade a spade. If you have children, especially sons, and your sons is expressing that they want to go to college, they can go to college, but try to push them towards the career fields, right? Tech is big right now because we're going into the AI. We're going into the AI future, so tech is big. Steer them towards careers that's actually going to pay them something, so they could pay those college loans back, and they're not in their 30s and 40s drowning in debt. Anyway. These are a lot of the different ways that they use to get rich, and people that aren't aware of it. This is just one page. Let's go to the next page. And here are some others. The prison industrial industry. I think we all know about that. The GI Bill. I think we all know about that. So real quick, the building where I work at my job, the VA, the Veterans Administration, is in the building that I work at, right? And the way that most of the veterans that come into the building are Black and Latino. They're the ones that went to war and stuff like that. And you should see the way that the people that work at the VA treat these people that went overseas. And a lot of them are coming back with PTSD. A lot of them are coming back with injuries and different things that happened while they were in combat. And they're treated like SHIT. All the promises that were made to them were not kept. Right? They're supposed to be eligible for certain benefits that they don't get, right? Meanwhile, there's a certain amount of money that's allotted every year from the federal government that's supposed to go to the VA to help these veterans, but somehow or another it doesn't end up in the veterans' hands. Instead, it ends up in new office furniture every couple of months in the VA. Every couple of months, I'm watching these people swap out. Guys, listen to what I'm telling you. These guys are spending your tax dollars. These guys are spending $300-400 on a chair. You guys hear what I'm telling you? How do I know? Because I know. I talk to the moving people that's outside the building, moving the damn furniture in, and the people on the moving company are bitching because they know. They're like, yo, this is fucked up. Excuse my language. There's children here. They see a dumpster outside with brand new chairs, practically brand new chairs. Maybe these chairs are like a year old, and they're throwing them away. Brand new desks, brand new bookshelves just being thrown away because the department receives a lot of set of money every year, and they invest in new furniture every year and throw that stuff out. It's to the point where the security in the building will come, will literally bring a U-Haul to the building to try to intercept some of that because the stuff be brand new, bro. It'd be brand new. And if you don't spend, or if you underspend on the budget, the person that runs the department gets a bonus every year. So this is how white folks get rich. This is what they do. And there's many, many other things here. Politics, as you guys can see, is so much stuff here. War on Black drug users. I mean, you name it. Anyway, talent snatching. There's so much. So they're going to pay for that. They've literally weaponized everything against us. So there's a judgment for that. This is how they live deliciously and look at you and tell you to pull yourself up by the bootstraps. And then when you actually address, because you become cognizant or aware of what they're doing and you address it, they're saying that you're trying to play victim. That's what they say. Try to shame you. Let's move on. Revelation chapter 18, verse 8. It says, therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. Who's the she? Babylon. That's the same thing Isaiah said in Isaiah chapter 13, verse 19, that Babylon will be as when the Lord overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. And how did the Lord overthrow Sodom and Gomorrah? With fire and brimstone. That's how we know that Isaiah 13 and Revelation chapter 18 is literally pointing to the same Babylon. It was not Neo-Babylon. It was not ancient Babylon. It's not ancient Rome. It's none of those stuff. It's America. And she's going to be burned with fire. For strong is the Lord who judges her. That's her judgment. Here's another movie. This is from the movie called The Knowing. I mean, how many movies are they going to make where they show you themselves being destroyed by fire? Like, how many? Fair use, fair use. You ever read about something in the Bible called the lake of fire? Oh, I'll salaki, y'all. I'm going to stop for 1 second. When you stand from a very, very far distance and you look down on that, that looks like a lake of fire, because all of that's going to be on fire, the whole thing. Does everybody see that? So over and over, they're showing you that they know in their movies what exactly is the judgment of Babylon the Great. They're not showing you this Neo-Babylon being destroyed this way. They're showing you America being destroyed this way. This is the book of Revelation, chapter 17, verse 12. It says, and the 10 horns which thou sawest are 10 kings, which have received no kingdom as yet, but receive power as kings 1 hour with the beast. And I went all over this a couple of weeks ago when I did my breakdown on Revelation chapter 17. If you guys missed it, you got to go back and get that, right? For the sake of time, I'm just reading through this stuff to get to a point. Verse 13, these have one mind and shall give their power and strength unto the beast. These shall make war with the Lamb. They're going to make war with Yahushua, and the Lamb shall overcome them. Yahushua is going to overcome them. For he is Lord, he is the Lord of lords and King of kings. And they that are with him are called and chosen and faithful. So in order to be with Yahushua in this day, when he overcomes them and is proclaimed Lord of lords and Kings of kings, first of all, you have to be called. Second of all, the Most High has to choose you. That's why everybody can't come into this truth. Everybody that we teach this truth to doesn't wake up. And you have to be faithful, meaning that when the tribulation that the Bible says is going to come in whatever way it manifests itself in your life, you're going to have to be faithful and stick with this truth anyway, regardless of what happens. Verse 15, and he saith unto me, the waters which thou sawest, where the whore sitteth, are peoples and multitudes and nations and tongues. Verse 16, and the 10 horns which thou sawest upon the beast, these shall hate the whore, and shall make her desolate and naked, and shall eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. So Revelation chapter 17 is saying the same thing Revelation chapter 18 is saying. She shall be utterly burned with fire. That's what the Bible says. That's why they keep showing you this in their movies over and over and over again. I'm going to skip this for now. Ezra is also prophesying about the fall of Babylon as well. I'm going to skip this for now for the sake of time. How else did they live deliciously? Let's read Revelation chapter 18, verse 9. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her. So Babylon lived deliciously, And the nations that were with her, they lived deliciously as well. They was in on it.
Back then, New York was called New Amsterdam and was ruled by the Dutch. Other countries wanted it, like the English. Thus began the Dutch-Anglo Wars. Dutch needed something to defend themselves, so they got slaves and volunteers to build a wooden wall from Hudson River to East River. By the way, the street that ran along this wall was called Hitsingol. 7 years later, the English visited New Amsterdam with 4 frigates loaded with hundreds of English soldiers. They demanded the Dutch surrender, and they did. From then on, that piece of land will be called New York, named after England's King Charles II brother, the Duke of York. The British also changed street names, including Hetsingol to Wall Street. The wall on Wall Street was now used by the British to defend themselves from their enemies. It stood for 35 more years, until being demolished in 1699 because of its poor condition. Now under new management, Wall Street was going to have improvements for the better. City Hall got built, sugar refinery, whipping post, Pillory. But Wall Street now had stocks, not the stocks I had in mind, but at least they got rid of the slave auctions on, never mind. Even before the British were in control, the Dutch would have slave auctions on Wall Street.
I'm trying to show you, it wasn't just America, but the Dutch had slave auctions on Wall Street in New York, and so did the British. All these nations was doing this. They were all in on this. That's why they're all going to pay.
Slave owners would come down to Wall Street and auction their slaves. Incoming ships would unload people directly into auction. Families will be wailing and in tears as they were separated from each other, never to see each other again. The slave trading market was growing, and in 1709, the British wanted a piece of the money by taxing when a slave was purchased. In 1711, a market house...
You guys get the idea. All the nations were in on this in one way or another, including the small hats as well. They were involved in this as well. That's why they have this thing called critical race theory. They don't want to talk about this. They don't want to talk about this whatsoever. You know, they don't want little white children to feel guilty about what happened in the past. But they're going to pay, regardless of whether they want to hear it or not.
Back then.
How else did they live deliciously? Let's go to this. I have a link right here. Let's go to this link real quick. Where is it? There it is. The link is called 15 Major Corporations You Never Knew Profited from Slavery. And this article was put together May 7, 2014. Let's just read some of the corporations that these corporations, by the way, brothers and sisters, still exist, and they're still living deliciously. But somehow or another, they're not supposed to pay. You have Lehman Brothers, whose business empire was started in the slave trade. You have Aetna Health Insurance. In the United States, the largest health insurer apologized for selling policies. So they were selling insurance policies on slaves. One second, y'all. You have New York Life, another insurance company. They took part in slavery by selling insurance policies on slaves. You have N.M. Rothschild Sons Bank in London. You have Norfolk Southern, right? You have USA Today. That's right, the newspaper. You have CSX. They're involved in the railroad industry. You have the Canadian National Railway Company. You have Brown Brothers Harriman. You have Brooks Brothers. They're the high-end suit retailers. I hope I know you brothers own a Brooks Brothers suit. You have Barclays, which is a financial services. They're a bank. They have the Barclays Center in Brooklyn where the New York Nets play, the Brooklyn Nets play. Yeah, all of these were involved. They became rich by being involved in the slave trade. That's how they lived deliciously. Let's go back. And the kings of the earth who have committed fornication and lived deliciously with her, shall bewail her and lament her, for when they shall see the smoke of her burning, standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, the great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. So this idea of 1 hour, what does that mean? It's just, I hear a lot of people trying to make it into something, and they're basically just philosophizing, but really that 1 hour represents a very short time. It took hundreds of years for America to build itself up into the empire and the world power that it is today, financially, militarily, etc., etc. But it's saying that it's going to happen in a very short amount of time. America was built up fast. America was built up slow. And when the time comes for America to fall, it's going to happen very quickly. Yahweh Shai and the angels are coming here to get down and get busy. It's going to be swift destruction. That's what it's talking about. Verse 10 again. Standing afar off for the fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, that great city Babylon, that is that mighty city, for in 1 hour is thy judgment come. And the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. You have some people that teach that this Babylon, this mystery Babylon, is the Vatican. How we know that that is not true is because it speaks about the merchants of the earth not being able to buy their merchandise anymore. This is not happening with the merchants of the earth are not buying Roman Catholic merchandise. They're not buying merchandise from the Vatican. They're buying from America. And more important, America is importing great amounts of merchandise from them, especially countries like China. I can't find too many things that haven't been made in China anymore. Half the stuff you buy on Amazon and Temu and what's that other one? There's another one. AliExpress, all these websites, half that stuff comes from China. This is talking about commerce, nations doing commerce with each other. It's not talking about the Vatican. And so when this commerce comes to an end and they're no longer able to live deliciously, they're going to mourn about it. They're going to fret about that. Because that fornication felt good. Being able to profit off of committing fornication with America felt good. But nothing lasts forever, except our kingdom and the kingdom of Yahweh Shai. That's the only thing that's going to last forever. Let's move on. Verse 12, the merchandise of gold and of silver, precious stones and purple and fine linen and silk and scarlet and all thinine wood and all manner of vessels of ivory and all manner of vessels of precious wood and of brass and of iron and of marble and of cinnamon and of odors and of ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men. The Vatican is not importing or exporting any of this stuff, any of this merchandise whatsoever. So this is not talking about the Vatican whatsoever. Does everybody understand that? I know the commentaries say that, but we have to use common sense. These nations were able to get rich off of importing and exporting these goods around the world. So when it comes to an end, they're going to mourn over that thing. That's what it's showing us. I'm going to have to stop it right here, but I want you guys to look at this real quick, what I have here. Nations that got rich off of America. And it speaks about all these different people that come from other nations, right? There are, well, let's read this one here about immigration. The U.S. is a top destination for wealthy immigrants. That's why they're going to mourn. It has nothing to do with the Vatican, particularly from Asia and Europe and the UK. In 2023, the U.S. saw a net inflow of 2,200 millionaires and is projected to receive 3,500 more in 2024. Some examples of immigrants who have become billionaires in the United States is Adam Farohi, an Iranian-born mobile gaming billionaire, Ramzi Musalam, a Jordanian private equity mogul, etc., etc. You guys could see why the nations are going to mourn, because all of that is going to come to an end. I do have to stop right now because we are almost at the allotted time. So we can finish this off next week, and we can also get back into our conversation we were having about winter is here and how we're leading up to this destruction that the Bible is talking about that's going to come, where Babylon is going to be burned with fire, and what the signs are that we should be looking for this to happen. We have to pick that up next week. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen for now. And I know that was a lot of information. I'm praying that the information made sense. If the information made sense, guys, just put 1 in the chat. Yeah, that's part of my mental OG. I see your comment. That was coming in the upcoming slides as well. I was going to talk about the trade deficit. Gotta bring Sahab to the stage. I thought he was on the stage. Okay, yeah. Hey Sahab, do you have anything that you want to bring out?
Nah, excellent job, priest. Powerful class as usual. You know what I'm saying? I do have one thing. You brought out excellent points to show that it's not the Vatican pursuant to Revelation 17 and 18. But people also have to understand the scriptures say we're not going to acquit the wicked. The Vatican, they're going to get theirs too.
Mm-hmm.
That particular scripture might not go into them, but trust and believe that so-called man of the so-called Pope, he going to get his. The so-called Vatican, they going to get theirs. They had a part to play in slavery too,
Mm-hmm.
right? They had a part to play in that, because going back to Isabella and Ferdinand, right?
Dum
From
Deveris, I believe it is that the papal bull Dum Deveris, is that the one?
yes, sir. Yes,
Slavery,
sir.
yeah.
That papal bull, and they allowed, and not only allowed, they propagated and they made it like a virtuous thing to have slave. That's where, not now because we're short of time, but I want y'all to get into this thing called, not manifest destiny, the doctrine of discovery.
Yes.
Look that up, brothers and sisters. The doctrine of discovery. That's what gave the white man the audacity to say, hey, I discovered such and such. It was the Pope behind all of that, the Catholic Church. So even though they might not fit that particular scripture, they're gonna get theirs. Trust and believe. And real quick, because I know priest you lack for time, I just want to
So real
bring
quick,
out.
just go look at your screen real quick, and we could just
Okay, let
read
me
that
go.
real quick. You guys can see what he's talking about.
Okay, where we at? Right. Says the doctrine of discovery is a legal and religious concept that has been used for centuries to justify Christian colonial conquest. It advanced the idea that European peoples, culture, and religion were superior to all others. Yeah, absolutely. Because when your man Cristobal, if that's his real name, right?
Mm-hmm.
He went out there and he conquered in the name of you know who and you know what, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
excellent class. I just want to bring out one quick scripture, priest.
Uh-huh.
Second Thessalonians chapter 1 verse 5. We always read this, but this time I want to read down to verse 10 if possible. Second Thessalonians chapter 1, starting at verse 5. We're going to go through verse 10. Verse 5 says, no, Slakia. Verse 6, I'm sorry. Start at verse 6, brothers and sisters. Seeing it is a righteous thing with the Most High to recompense tribulation to them that trouble you. Everything the priest showed, right? It's a righteous thing. Your spirit should be doing backflips within your body when you see that thermonuclear destruction coming on this land. Babylon is going to get payback, right? Verse 7. And to you who are troubled, rest with us when the Lord Yahushua shall be revealed from heaven with his mighty angels. That's what the priest was showing also. The white man always allude to that. When you look into the heavens, you always seen alien invasion, right? That's Yahushua coming back with his mighty angels. Verse 8. In flaming fire. Scriptures always talk about Yahushua coming with a whirlwind of fire. I do believe that's in the book of Isaiah, right? 66. In flaming fire, taking vengeance on them that know not the Most High and that obey not the gospel of our Lord Yahushua, who shall be punished with everlasting destruction from the presence of the Lord and from the glory of his power. Verse 10, when he shall come to be glorified in his saints and to be admired in all them that believe, because our testimony among you was believed in that day. So I just wanted to bring that out to show that, listen, when Yahushua come back, it's going to be wailing and gnashing of teeth, but it's for us to keep the testimony. We shall rejoice, man, because that's our salvation. And it's a righteous thing. They say you in a cult, oh, you wishing destruction. Yes, it's a righteous thing. When they catch a pedophile, you want them to have good life? You want them to have health? No, it's a righteous thing. That's how you put away wickedness from out of the land. And who is the chief wicked? You already know, Esau. With that, I say shalom.
All right, brothers and sisters. Well, we appreciate you, brothers and sisters, being here as always. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel if you guys are not subscribed on YouTube. Make sure you guys hit the notification bell. If you are watching this video and you have not hit the like button, you're not subscribed to the channel, you need to repent. I think you should do like a fast to get the negative spirits off of you. Repent, subscribe to the channel, and hopefully the Most High will bless you. And we will see you guys again next week right here, 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, if it be the Most High's will. And with that, I say shalom.
Both small and great, rich and poor, free and bond, to receive a mark in their right hand or in their foreheads, and that no man might buy or sell, save he that had the mark, or the name of the beast, or the number of his name.
They try and vaccinate black people. Got me blocking the shot like Shaq Diesel. Know you heard of the woman and of that eagle, fleeing from the dragon in the book. We are that people. 400 years a slave, I am that Hebrew. In the last days with the pole, I am that lethal. I'm just trying to get it right with the right plan. Crackers trying to put a mark in my right hand and my forehead. Can't buy and I can't sell, and I can't breathe, can't yell, and I can't smell. COVID-19 in the air while I inhale. Am I in hell or America? I can't tell. Is it Babylon the Great or another game? Cause when you been here this long, it all look the same. We still made it to the end. Look how we took that pain after they took us from our land and took us from our name. Ashamed in the kitchen, breaking like Ben Simmons, but now I'm on repentance. Don't know how many chances Yahweh gon' give him before he get done with him. So I keep pole, that's Bible and gun with him. Middle finger to Joe and whoever that run with him. 400 plus years, it only been one victim, and so I keep the Hawks trade with the Nate with him. It's only 12 tribes and I'm at the gate with them. We still can't breathe, but the wickedest man can. The next time they see me on my knees, I'ma aim can. If Torah can't fix them, then I promise the flame can. Shooters all on the floor like the Warriors game plan. Cause freedom not free and charity not cheap. So I know how much they charging them niggas that's like me. No bargains for the ones at the bottom, we all suffer. So I'm only looking out for my brothers. Chef talk, cause it's a big difference between righteous and right. The brightness and the light, a massacre and a fight. I'm asking you with no mask on, I'ma come after you. They stole our blood covenant, crackers gotta be Draculas. Put us in them chains when they brought us over from Africa. We still in them chains from San Quentin to Attica. Still wearing their names, no wonder why they not mad at us. They divided the 12, mathematics ain't adding up. Knee to the neck, a bullet to the chest. They got me in the locks for money, power, respect. They got the game locked, I'm wondering what's going next. And I'ma rap this to the death.
Hello? Yeah. Shema, may I have your attention, please? You sons of men, Eves and seeds, all the wolves and soldiers, salute at ease. Remain on your square, 45 degrees. Always be prepared, never be deceived. Give y'all a standing ovation, let's do this proper. Here's some motivation, don't let nothing stop you. Let's have a holy conversation, hold back your dogma. Wait, here comes Satan. She want a Birkin bag of Balenciaga. Damn. Just bought the Prada, let me switch, now you getting nada. No more chips, just my pina colada. Yeah, I'm rude in speech and I'm not polite. Yo, turn the other cheeks, you caught that, right? It's the foul-mouthed minister, guard the perimeter. Went to war with Alexander, slapped the shit out of Caligula. I love a box of chocolate, dark or particular. Get your hand in my pocket, I'll shatter your fibula. Tear the devil head off, I'm anxious, nigga. Molded by the coldest ancient niggas, like Elisha and Moses in them ancient scriptures. Crackers opposers say we ain't them niggas. Let's strike some poses, I'll take some pictures. A memory that'll last a lifetime. You'll remember me if you're out the spirit in your right mind. You'll pass me that yeah, that white wine. Let's make a toast, it's the right time. Everywhere you go, let your light shine. Israelite for life, nigga, bottom line.
Want it? Let me know cause I'm feeling myself.